First and 10 up at the 36. Sit back in the pocket, a blitz right down the middle, hits home. Howell with a pocket, though having to backtrack, and another sack. Will be a throw. Howell has his guy who dropped it earlier back out into coverage. Howell having to roll, and Tomlinson hits home. We hand it off down the middle. Jacobs cuts down to the bottom, powering into the end zone. Pass rush again, forcing a roll, and it gets picked off. Even better than the 3 and out. Though they do not give help. Pop it up for Julio. Stepping up, will go deep downfield, and it's one-on-one Shaheed. Or actually, none of them, as Julio, not Julio, as Tyreek got bumped off his route. Please try to pass the ball, but don't pick up the first down. Deep across the middle, and they find Mayer. We stuck in that game, fought back from early adversity, but this team was missing an entire college that should have been a part of this challenge. And following that very defensive, low-scoring divisional battle against the Cowboys, we were knocked out. Now, as you can see here, the Cowboys did not go on and win the Super Bowl. Instead, it was the 49ers, their 6th Super Bowl championship, as they got it over the Miami Dolphins, 34-28. You can see the yearly award winners over on the right-hand side. We did not win any awards, though we had some guys in the running. And in a way, I guess you could say we kind of had an award winner, though he just wasn't on our team, in Will Anderson Jr. being the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Now, we did have some Pro Bowlers. On offense, we had Josh Jacobs and Tyreek Hill. As we got over to the defensive side, we did have Minkah Fitzpatrick. None of our linebackers or our defensive line got any accolades there, though they probably should have. And then we finished it off on special teams with Jahmyr Gibbs being a returner. But as we begin today's episode, we will be going through the entire offseason and then get through the entire regular season of season 2. So gonna be moving quickly where we can and watch some important games as we move along. But to start off with, did we have any retirees? And actually, yeah, we had a good few here. We do not have to scroll, but yeah, we had a lot of guys retire. You could at least see the names of them, though I am covering up the face of Kareem Jackson at the bottom. Julio Jones retires, Janoris Jenkins retires, Malcolm Butler, and our backup quarterback in A.J. McCarron. So hopefully we could find ourselves another backup quarterback. Where the offseason really begins is re-signing, and we definitely have some players we need to re-sign, including Minkah Fitzpatrick, who, as just mentioned, was a Pro Bowler for us. Now, unfortunately, he does not have a lot of interest, but we do have a lot of cap space, so we could definitely raise up this offer. He was a solid guy for us, not necessarily that there's a equal to replacement for him, so we definitely want to try to keep him around. So it'll be a sizable offer. We'll put it in, but he wants to test free agency. If we were to consider instead going with a franchise tag, we're looking actually at a cheaper deal for us. So that could definitely be what we do with Minkah. As for CJ Mosley, he did regress a little bit as he is 32, but he's coming off a really good season. I would love to keep him around. He again doesn't have that much interest. We'll bump up the numbers a little bit. It's a 2-year deal, and he will also be testing. So far, despite making it into the playoffs, none of these guys are really that interested in returning. We got Ryan Kelly, our starting center. Again, we'll bump up the numbers a little bit. He doesn't have a whole lot of interest, but we finally get one of them. Now, everyone else, we're going to move on from for now because their depth players may be slightly rotational. One guy who I definitely will consider bringing back is J.K. Scott, though as we found out, we forgot the entire School of Auburn in the building of this team. So we're going to see if there's any actual true Auburn kickers first, and then if not, we could come back to J.K. Scott. But we'll finish off this stage with the franchise tag, and that will be on Minkah Fitzpatrick. Hopefully, not too many people interested in C.J. Mosley, but that's all going to be determined in open free agency. And open free agency would go mostly pretty well for us. We did bring in some good, at least depth, maybe some rotational guys. Someone like Damian Harris definitely going to be depth, but really good depth at that. Ronnie Harrison Jr. is back. We brought in a new corner here, and it's a last name I know I'm going to butcher. Gonna give it my best go here in Igbin Oghene. Probably not. We're just gonna call him Noah. Simply put it, and he might find himself in a potential starting spot Corner is a very weak group for us after all the retirees. We are also bringing in Montravius Adams. He is an Auburn player, so we're definitely adding some Auburn guys. So was Noah. Cam Sims, he is back. Brought in Marlon Davidson. Adding some guys to the defensive line. It's still really no true edge rushers, but at least bringing in some guys. Brought back Deontay Thompson. Brought back Darrell Luter Jr., as well as Helms? Probably. We brought in Tyler Steen, a new backup, a pretty solid backup at that. Now, unfortunately, we did not get back our kicker, and the next option is Anders Carlson, who's not been too great in real life, but we'll see what he could do. We also had to bring back Corliss Waitman as our punter because he was the only punter. Latu also returns, and we brought in another backer here in Owen Papo, maybe. Do my best to pronounce these, probably butcher most of them, but forget most of it really good. Unfortunately, we did miss out on the top guy in the entirety of free agency in CJ Mosley. He's going to the Seahawks. We offered him a lot of money for a pretty good amount of years considering he is 32, but he just didn't want to come back. But that now takes us to the draft, or pre-draft, and this is a very interesting draft class. I did go through and add all the Auburn players as well. But going through, there is one real guy on offense, Chase McKenzie, a round 1 to 2 projected receiver, and we could use some help at receiver, at least depth-wise. But he just looks truly awful. Hands all questionable. I will say he has good medium route running. That's the only thing that indicates he's a receiver, so he's definitely not towards the top of our board. There is an offensive lineman when we get over to the Auburn side, who's a round 1, and he actually does look like he could be really good. At least a pure agile guy who has some decent strength to his game. I just think we have a pretty good offensive line, so I'm not going to push for us to draft a true round 1 prospect. At least when it comes to that group. Where we could use some help is edge rush, and that's not really something here, but there is some very interesting projection to true talent here for the defensive linemen available, both of which are more interior defensive tackle types. With Josh Bartow, he's around 1 to 2 projection, but a true talent of round 2 to 3. Yet he looks actually to me like really good. A run stopper who runs slightly under a 5-second 40. Pretty decent bench reps. He has A block shed, B power moves with A play rec and B awareness, A tackle even, B injury. Everything there looks really solid, so I don't know why he dropped to around 2 to 3 talent, but maybe that makes him available for us. Now, what makes it even more interesting is there is Kevin McIntyre, a big dude out of Bama, 6'3", 348 pounds. Day 3 projection, but around 1 to 2 talent, and that I don't see. What I do see is a big dude with a heck of a lot of strength. I'm thinking like Vince Wilfork type of guy, at least look-wise, but the ratings don't look like they would be that great outside of play recognition and tackle. If he's there, maybe 3rd round or so, we could definitely try to pick him up. But yeah, it's really weird how these projections are coming in. And then to round out, we do have some DB options, and we definitely could use some help at corner. There is Marcus Battle, a round 3 to 4 projection, though actual round 2 to 3 talent. He is definitely a roaming free safety, just doesn't quite have that top end speed, but he's very quick and agile. As for the ratings, he's got the zone, he's got some awareness, block shed is there, catching is there, no man coverage, so he truly is just a roaming over the top safety. So he would not be one that we could move to corner, but would provide us flexibilities with our other safeties to maybe move to corner. There are some corner options though for us. There is Chadarius Terrell, who's around 1 to 2 projection, though doesn't look like he's going to be that great. C zone coverage, B man coverage. There is a different option, or another option, in Tyrone Barlow, though, that does look more intriguing because he has that A zone coverage as around 2 to 3 projection as well. 6 foot, 180, 21 years old, good size there, pretty good athletics. And he has a little bit of man coverage to go with it. It is a C, but definitely has the zone coverage, good awareness as well. We need help at corner. He's probably going to be one of our primary guys we go after. And right now we are slated to have the 26th overall pick, and they currently have us going with Josh Bartow. But again, I don't think that's where we really should be going. Again, I'm thinking more so of the corner would probably be our first target, and then maybe see who else is available around this area, at least late on here. Not really seeing any of the guys we were looking for, so we'll just jump into this draft and kind of see how it falls. Now, on top of that, we don't have our full slate of picks either. We have our first round, our second round. We are missing pretty much all of our mid-round picks. We do not have a third or a fourth. Then we have a 5 and 2 6s. So it's going to limit what we could really do, especially if we need to move up in the draft, because I don't want to use really any of the future, because once again, we don't have a second next year or a 7th. But we could probably get one of the top options for us in that first round. Maybe see about the second round. Honestly, we could even maybe drop from that first round pick as well. So let's see what our options are at spot 26. And as we get there, going through the list here, the receiver did go. Fine by me. We weren't really looking to go after him. Josh Bartow is still available. The defensive lineman, who's the talent of round 1 to 2, still available. The safety there. The other offensive lineman from Auburn, he did go. But both corners are still available. So what are our trade down options? We'd either be looking to move to later in the first round or pick up a early second this year. See if any of these teams are even offering anything in the first round. You have San Fran. They would give us, just dropping back a few picks, they would give us their first, their third, another 6. I don't think we need that 6, and then a future 7. So we would actually have a 7th round pick next year. That is definitely an option. The Eagles, they are offering us to drop too early in the second round. We would pick up a 3rd rounder next year, a 6th this year, and then a 7th next year. Doesn't seem as intriguing to me as the Niners. And then the last option is going to be with the Dolphins. Drop back to 31, pick up a 3rd and a 5th and a 7th all this year. Again, I don't think we need as many of those later rounds, but the 3rd is interesting. Compare that to San Fran. Pretty much they're right next to each other. So I really don't think it matters. It depends on what we could get better in the future. And I think we go with San Fran here because we don't need more picks late on this year. We'll take some for next year. So San Fran will drop back to 32. And as we get to spot 32, none of our guys went. So they are all still available. Could we keep playing this gambling game? Keep trying to move back? Or do we go ahead and make our selections? Our next pick isn't until around the mid-second round. And honestly, I looked at the trade down options and they just seemed too far to push it. So I think we need to come up with where we go here. Josh Bartow would be another one of a just defensive tackle having to play either on the inside or the outside of the defensive line. So that really doesn't fill the need for us. If he's around a little bit later, maybe even with that second pick, maybe we do go his way. Kevin McIntyre with us picking up that 3rd round pick, we might use that on him there. So really right now it comes down to Marcus Battle, who's really just a roaming free safety, or we go to the corners. And I think that is where we do go. Tyrone Barlow seems to be the better of the two. Might be a slight overdraft here, the last pick in the first round, but we are going to go with a corner. It's our biggest area of need. He's got good size, pretty good athletics. He should be a pretty good pick for us. And he is a normal dev. Expected maybe to him to be a star there, but he's got good speed acceleration. He's got agility. He could jump around a good bit. Decent strength as well for a corner at 75. Hopefully he ends up panning out well. Now from here, we are not trading up. We're just going to take whoever falls to us. So let's jump ahead to our next pick and see who is available. If that other defensive lineman Barlow is available, we could go after him. Honestly, if even the other corner is still there, we could potentially go after him because we do need help at that spot. Battle is still there, and the other defensive lineman did go. So we have Kevin McIntyre, who's definitely more of an interior guy, and I think we go with him with the 3rd round pick again, if he is still there. So for now, we're going to go with the position that is the weakest for us. We're going to double dip at corner, bringing in Chadarius Terrell. I never know how to pronounce those because I've heard it both ways. Now, he is not a very fast corner, running a 4.6. If anything, he might need to actually play some safety. He's got some press, just the coverages are not that great. So before we make our decision, another quick update here on Marcus Battle. 5'11", 209, he's going to be a little bit faster. And the coverages, B zone, D man, but I'm pretty sure the corner also had D for man coverage. So maybe Battle would be the slightly better player for us. Again, just going back to Terrell. He does have the C zone, so less zone. Man gonna be about the same. He has some tackle ability, some block shed. He has press, but he can't cover or keep up with the guys. Not sure he would be the best option, so we're actually gonna skip on him. Never mind on double dipping. We're gonna go instead Marcus Battle, the safety. Another normal dev, 89 speed, 89 acceleration. Does have some good agility, change of direction, and jumping. Okay strength, and we'll see where he fits in best. Now, hopefully, as we move towards the end of the third round, I want to go for that defensive tackle if he is still there. Bring in a big dude. He's one of the biggest defensive linemen I have found in any of these classes. Hopefully he's still there, the late rounder. Round 1 to 2 talent. According to the talent range, we're getting a steal here. Kevin McIntyre. He is a hidden dev. I was about to say, if they give me a normal dev on that. 98 strength. He's not very fast. He's going to be essentially a Dalvin Tomlinson replacement in a year or two. Or maybe he surprises with the ratings. We'll definitely see all the ratings at the end. But as we now jump to late/mid 5th round, where do we go from here? There's Jonathan Rogers out of Bama, a running back, a day 3 talent. Doesn't look that intriguing. There is one more draftable player in Carl Higgins, another day 3. Now he has B finesse moves. He's listed as a speed rusher at 6'2", 295, 23 years old. He's not that fast, running about a 5-second 40. So again, he's not going to be a true left or right end, but he's probably going to do better for us than the running back. So let's go with Carl Higgins here. Maybe a little bit of an overdraft, 69 speed, 79 strength. I expected a little bit higher than that, but all in all, depth player. Now into the 6th round, where we actually have 3 picks pretty all tight in here, 24, 26, and 32. Again, there is only the day 3 talent available. So do any of these guys seem intriguing enough for us to draft them now, ensuring we pick them up and them not having to go through the UDFA part before we could actually get to it? There is some intrigue here in Kyle Tatum, another defensive lineman who has the B to D block shed. Expect that could be anywhere from a B to a C, with the power moves being a C. Could be a decent option. Another option could be going after a corner in Johnny Hargrove out of Bama. Good size at 6'1", 203, 22 years old. Has a pretty decent athletic thing. I mean, nothing spectacular, but solid. And he has press moves. We don't know what the zone is. We know man is an F. He is a zone archetype. So that zone could be as worse as a D. But he has the potential to be a decent outside corner with that press. And of everyone that is available, the only ones really kind of standing out is Kyle Tatum and Hargrove. So do we go with another defensive lineman here who is not fast whatsoever, not super strong either, but has some block shed upside, or go with a position group that is pretty light for us? I think that's going to be an easy answer. We get some depth for corner in Hargrove, 88 speed and acceleration. He's got some change of direction. We'll see where he fits in. And honestly, it's not like we're waiting around that much anyway, so we're probably going to go back to Kyle Tatum here again. He has the potential to have some of the better ratings of the guys left, so let's bring in the DT. Another normal dev, basically no speed, 53 speed. He's got decent acceleration though at an 81. He can get to that top end pretty quickly. Not a whole lot of strength, depth guy, maybe practice squad, we'll see. And now with our final pick in the draft here, we're going to take a flyer on a running back in Cordell Donnell. Don't think Alabama would actually have a running back at 5'8", 207, but who knows? 21 years old, he's a receiving back, and he's not super athletic, but he's not unathletic. And I'm not going to be taking him as a true running back because the ball carrier vision is an F. What I'm taking a flyer on here is that he's actually a receiver. He has A catching, short route is B to D, medium route is B to D. Maybe he ends up having better attributes for that area. He might also have nothing, and maybe he's just a kick returner. Either way, we're going to take a shot on Cordell Donald. He is a normal dev with 89 speed, 89 acceleration, 88 agility, 89 change of direction. Maybe he should wear number 89. And jumping is an 82 with some decent strength. Now let's go see this class. And I'll definitely say the top of the board looks pretty good. Brought in a 76, a 72, and a 73. The bottom half, they're all going to be fighting for practice squad. But before we take any looks, let's just go ahead and see what happens with Cordell Donald, a 65 running back. How high does that actually drop him? Apparently down to a 61. So maybe he doesn't play receiver. The deep and medium are definitely really bad for route running. I just don't think he's going to be a great running back. He's got some change of direction, but everything else is pretty low. He has some kick return ability. We might just move him back to running back and send him to the practice squad. But as for those who will be playing, Tyrone Barlow, we brought him in. He's seeing a little bit of a boost up to a 77, but true 76. And those ratings actually look really intriguing for a day one starter. Gonna be a little bit more zone heavy with him, which we typically have been running a little bit more man. But we'll see how much that ends up affecting things. Tackling is at a pretty good spot. Need to work on some press ability with him. But he's got the speed. And he's going to be a day one starter for us. As for this safety in Marcus Battle, that now one gives us two safeties with the name of Battle. Can he play both spots? Not really. That man coverage is pretty low, though if we switch to zone corners, then he would fit. And would be probably a pretty decent slot guy, same as what the other Battle played for us last year. So this is giving us at least some flexibility. As for Kevin McIntyre, our hidden dev, he does have some starting capabilities. 72 block shed, it's not high end ability, but he could definitely get out there. With 83 tackle, I do think we need to get him out in at least some reps this year. He's not going to be any pass rusher at all. He's a true just stick him down the middle, eat up some blocks. Very much a work in progress towards a Vince Wilfork here. Now as for some of the depth, Carl Higgins, 6'2", 295. He does not have any speed. He has some finesse moves, but he will probably be practice squad. As for the corner in Johnny Hargrove, took a shot on him with the ability to maybe have some coverage, and he really does not. I expect he was a zone archetype if I was not mistaken, and the zone is not as high as I thought it would have been. Man is definitely really bad, so he's probably going to be another practice squad guy. And Tatum definitely does not appear like he lived up to the possibility of his ceiling either. Pretty low, finesse moves awful, has a little bit of some power moves to try to build upon, but that is about it with next to no speed. Might just stick him on the practice squad, but he may not stick around that long on the practice squad. Now checking some of the players that we skipped on, there was Chance McKenzie, the receiver. He ends up being a 74 normal dev, and honestly the ratings, they look better than what I thought they would have been. Receivers are so hard to judge because the scale, the A to F, often are pretty low, but the ratings don't quite seem to match what I would think would be pretty low. So I might need to just forget everything I know about receivers going forward because he probably could have fit in pretty well as wide receiver 3. As for the defensive lineman we skipped on, ends up being pretty similar overalls, also a hidden dev, Josh Bartow, and he has no finesse moves, has some block shedding, has some power, so he would have had a better start. But you're going to have less strength, a little bit more speed, so he could have played a left or a right end, but we needed the corner, and the corner was the better overall. And it was also a pretty good thing that we skipped on that other corner in Terrell, whatever it is, 65 overall normal dev, and the coverages are pretty bad. He has some press ability, as we knew he would, but that was really about it. He would have been fighting for a spot on the bottom of the roster or been sent to the practice squad. So very glad we did not go with him, and instead we went with Battle, who was nearly 10 overall higher. Now here's the starting lineup moving into season 2. Young, obviously, our quarterback. We did have to make a trade. It was a quick little one for Stidham because we needed a backup quarterback. But essentially, we sent a pair of late round picks to the Seahawks to bring in a backup quarterback because he was the only option we had. As for the running backs, it pretty much stays the same for the top two in Jacobs and Gibbs. Harris will be a rotational guy there, though he will get the start at fullback. And if for some reason he and Latu cannot go, well, we're going to bring in the big old McIntyre. 36 overall to play some fullback for us. Receivers, top three staying the same with Tyreek Hill, Williams, and Mechie. Sims is he really earned last year that fourth opportunity. Dixon, we ended up picking up in free agency. He is our final receiver. We only have 5, so we are a little bit thin there. If we have to, Everett can step up and play a little bit of some receiver, which would open up some play time for Irv Smith Jr. as well as Latu. Offensive line stays the exact same as last year. Defensive line, though, remains the same, just the backup for the edge rushers are now different with Adams and Davidson. We're going to try to get McIntyre out there. We have some DTs in front of him. Mostly Robinson is someone I'm considering maybe making a trade with to bring in some help for this linebacker group because it is pretty light, but we'll give them the first few weeks of the season to see how well they do. As for the corners, it's also changed. We've moved another safety to corner. Eddie Jackson is going to be our primary corner. Opposite of him, we're going to have Barlow in the 2 receiver sets. Barlow will play slot nickel, bringing in the newly signed Noah to be the outside guy. Because Noah doesn't have great tackling, Barlow does, so he'll play slot for us. Safety, it's going to be Battle. Well, technically we got 2 battles, but the original Battle in Jordan Battle, he will be getting the start at free. He's not as singular in terms of a roaming safety. He has some man coverage. That's just going to provide us a little bit more flexibility. If he struggles, we could also send him to play slot corner once again. Then Barlow can stay on the outside. And then we have the new Battle, who is much more of a true just roaming safety. Fitzpatrick, other strong safety. He could also switch over to free if need be. And we could rotate a lot of the DB group as it's primarily built from safeties. Now, as mentioned, with a lot of these specialists, Barlow will be the slot for the corner. We're going to put Tyreek Hill slot receiver this year because in true just straight up sim games, it focuses more on your slot guys, so hopefully that'll help out our offense in those sim games. Gibbs still going to be the 3rd down running back. Jacobs the power back. The rush for the defensive line staying the exact same. Collins and Harrison Jr., they're going to be our cover backers, and that's really the biggest group of concern moving into this season is the linebacker group after we lost CJ Mosley. Now, the reason we're not making any big trades before the start of this season is because we actually have a fairly decent draft class. We have 21 potential players and there's some high round options. That receiver, we have 2 different options and we really could use some receivers. Tyreek Hill, he's going to be 30, but he's 99. X factor, so he should be good for the duration of this series. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, whatever you do for some good luck. But we need some more depth. Again, we have 5 guys. There is Bo Ellis around 1, and then Isaiah Hutchins around 3 to 4. 2 different style guys. You got the big boy in Hutchins, and then the smaller, more elusive guy in Ellis. Moving down the line, there is a guard in Will Reese out of Auburn, around 3 to 4 projection. Not a big necessity for us, but we'll see how he looks. There's also a DT in Jerry Boykin. Again, he's more of an interior guy at 335 pounds, but again, we've had some guys getting older. I want to say Tomlinson and Reed are both now 30, so always good to have options. We'll see how well he turns out. There is an inside backer in Jimmy Fitzgerald, more off-ball backer in Fitzgerald. 6'2", 236. He's a day 3. I've found good inside backers at all different levels of drafts. Hopefully he does end up being a pretty good one. There is a corner in Greg Shivers, and then a safety in Trey Lynch. Now we definitely could still use some corner help for the future, and potentially with Trey Lynch, depending on how good he is, maybe he could be our strong safety, and Minkah Fitzpatrick can move over to free, and then we could have Battle move around. We've got a lot of options, and that's what we really need for this pretty weak DB group. But if we do see struggles, we will definitely make a trade before we get past the trade deadline. But let's start off getting through the first couple weeks here, just straight up sims, and see how we start off. And it would be a worrisome start to the season. 35-17 in a loss against the division rival Buccaneers. We gave up just over 350 yards. We had 263 ourselves. Turnovers, we did have one. And it was Bryce Young throwing an interception. No touchdowns in the first game. 175 yards. He completed 65%. But Kyler Murray, 84%. And 2 touchdowns running the ball. Jacobs did well. 4.4 yards, 2 touchdowns. Gainwell for them, he gained well. How many times do I make that joke? Every time. As for Murray, he also had a rushing touchdown. They also had Saquon Barkley. He only ran the ball once. He must have got injured early on. Bryce Young, he also ran once, only 4 yards. Receiving, Agnew, 73. 5 catches for Tyreek. Expect more than just a first down per catch. And Chance McKenzie. Gotta love it. The receiver that I said probably wouldn't be all too good. He gets 8 catches on us, 2 touchdowns. However, he only had 6 yards a catch, so they just went his way early and often. And nothing really big from any of our offensive players, blocking wise. No real sacks. We did give up 1 from Evan Neal, but we did get 2. Defensively, Landon Collins led all teams in tackles with 11. The top 3 were all on our side. Tackle for a loss, we struggled against Will McDonald IV. But Reed got a tackle for a loss, and he was the only one that for us that actually got a tackle for a loss. Sack-wise was Reed. Gary sacked us once, and Jonathan Allen had a sack. Interception-wise, it was to Christian Gonzalez. Is what it is. Kicking-wise, 100 across the board for Anders Carlson. So that is good. And what's even better is we answered back the first loss with 2 straight wins. A 35-28 win over the Chiefs and then a 45-27 win over the Chargers. Now that puts us against the Panthers, and we need to get a win in division. So how about we jump into a quarter sim here, maybe get into some of that fourth quarter. Now this one is an away game as we get underway. Panthers drive down and score, and it looked like they were driving down again as we end the first 7-0. And they'll make it 14-0, though we quickly answer, get a touchdown back, give up a quick touchdown, give up another touchdown, and we get a field goal before halftime, 28-10. Not very good for this divisional play so far. Luckily, we do drive down the field, get a touchdown, get a stop. Fourth quarter hits. Let's slow it down a little bit. I do think we were driving, and we're down to the 36. We'll jump in. See if we can cap off this drive with a touchdown. Would draw it back at least a little bit closer. Honestly, go for 2 after a touchdown would be good to make it a field goal game. We find Everett and have ourselves a 3rd and 8. We were apparently way backed up. Did not pay attention to that. Need a first down here at the 21. We got 3 down to the bottom, 1 up top. We go with a handoff. It's open for Jacobs. He will pick up the first down. Only 6 rushes for him up to this point. 35 yards and a touchdown. Would like to see him used a lot more than what we used him in the playoffs. For some reason, we just didn't run. We go back to him here. Good stiff arm. We'll pick up about 5-6 yards. Now he is up to, I want to say 95 overall. So he's unlocked all of his X Factor abilities, all of his superstar abilities. So hopefully we see him go hard this season. Out to Gibbs, who trucks the DB. Not used to him making those kind of moves. More of an agile guy. But he brought the power there. 3rd and inches. Got Jacobs back in the backfield. Next to Young. Will be a throw. Could step up and run if he needs. Or he throws the interception. That was what cost us in the postseason. Was unnecessary turnovers. And unless he could clean that up, it could cost us early on this season. 3rd and 2 defense. Does not get the stop. Jerome Ford picks up the first down as they're just going his way. 4 straight plays, then a throwaway. 3rd and 7, they pick up exactly what they needed with Kyle Pitts. We're under 4 minutes left as Devin Duvernay, 22 yards in the plus territory. 2nd and 9, 1 more yard. 3rd and 7, math doesn't add up. Defense finally gets the stop there. And they make the big field goal. That makes things pretty difficult here. Definitely not a good start in division right now. We need a quick touchdown without calling any timeouts. And then we need an onside, another touchdown. We just need a whole lot right now. As we chuck this one out, it's Hill who jumps, leaps, and does bring it in. Barely getting that 2nd foot in. It's another play that Young had to put all of that throw power in. Does great to also get out of bounds as well. See if we could go out to Williams. Back shoulder. He could have gotten it after the tip, but definitely not a back shoulder. But we've done well to get down to scoring range without taking much time off. Still 2:07 on the clock. We're going to change that to a slant on the outside to see if we could get Hill towards that back pylon a little bit quicker. Though they do make the change. Pass rush does get back there. We'll let it hit the 2-minute warning. Van Ness ruined that for us. Definitely had the option to get that ball out before the tackle. We just didn't. 3rd and 22. One-on-one Williams on the outside. Safety help over the top. See if we could get it out there. Squeeze it in between, and we did, but that got him rocked. It'll all come down to this play. Need at least the first down. Touchdown would help us out a little bit, as we need multiple with under 2 minutes left. They have a free rusher, and Young throws it away. Definitely not a good drive there, and there's no way we're getting back in this one. So that is 2 divisional losses early this season, putting us 2-2. Hopefully we can find some rebounds rather quickly. And we would respond with a big win over the Cowboys, 28-24, but then we would see 2 straight losses, including a 42-28 loss to the Eagles. So the play right now is sporadic, and we've got to find some ways to clean it up as we are at the trade deadline. And with it being the deadline, we are 3-4. By no means are we out yet, because the Buccaneers and Falcons have been awful this year. It's up to ourselves and the Panthers, a team we recently lost to, and a team that we face again, not this week in week 8, but I want to say week 9 or 10. So if we can find some way to improve, get a win in week 8, then get another one back on the Panthers, we're right back into a playoff push. More so for the wild card, considering how bad of a start it's been. But to really gauge where we need to make a move, we've got to take a look at the stats. And we are the #1 offense, but the 31st defense. What are we particularly doing bad at on defense? If we want to just look at total yards allowed, we are 2nd. Passing yards, 189 or 199. So we are the worst pass defense. In terms of rushing yards, we actually aren't the worst, but we're not really doing the best either. We're sitting about league average. Surprising to me, though, that it is the pass defense that's doing the worst. Points wise, we're giving up the most as well. We've definitely seen some big games. Sacks, we've only had 7. Definitely nowhere close to the top. Fumble recoveries, anything towards the top? No. Interceptions, are we towards the top? No. Well, let's just take a quick update for the individual stats. Bryce Young closing in on 2K yards at the midway point. 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 70% completion. That's probably the best play you're going to get from Young, because he's going to take those risks. You're going to have turnovers with that. Rushing wise, Jacobs 4.8 yards a play, 6 touchdowns for him. Young has a scrambling touchdown. Gibbs 3.8, nothing fantastic, 2 for him. Even Damian Harris has a rushing touchdown, so that's good. He's getting involved. Tyreek Hill over 500 before the halfway point, 6 touchdowns. Williams doing all right. Everyone averaging more than a first down a catch, and that's what we really need to see. Blocking wise, not awful. Evan Neal at 5 already, could be better, but everyone else is doing a fantastic job. Jonah Williams hasn't given up a single sack. Defensively, Ronnie Harrison Jr. leads us in tackles with 57, which would put him over 100 at the halfway point. Even Collins, as he's primarily a nickel backer, but he's still going to work. Tackles for a loss, Jonathan Allen does have 7. Sacks, we're just not getting that many. Obviously, we saw we only had 7. Interceptions, only 2 to this point, though. Shout out to Henry To'o. Oh, yeah, I'm always bad with those ones. Let me know how to pronounce them down below. Kicking-wise, surprisingly 100% for Carlson. So that seems to be a good signing as for now. Cross your fingers, knock on wood, that remains. So yeah, it definitely seems like we need to do something for the defense, but what can we do with what we have available? Well, right now with a pretty early tell for the talent we have in the draft, taking a look, Bo Ellis looks like he might be solid. He's a smaller guy though, so is he a true outside or is he a slot? Deep threat. He's pretty athletic, basically no strength, but about what you would imagine. Medium route is an F, short route is a D. Deep is going to be A to C, hands could be okay. Is he a top tier talent? Do we take him with a round one where we need some receiver help? Not necessarily to be a starter though. We could potentially, but maybe we save it and go for someone like Isaiah Hutchins, who's around 3 to 4, and those top ratings actually look like they are the same, if not better, than the receiver we didn't take in the draft earlier on. And we could get him in the round 3 to 4, might be a better option for us. Will Reese looks like a really solid lineman, though do we need offensive lineman help? Not really. So that gets us over to the defensive side. Jerry Boykin, round 3 to 4, he is a run stopper. We have plenty of run stoppers, so it's not necessarily a big need for us. The linebacker, he has some block shedding. Coverage isn't going to be great. He's a depth guy, it looks like. The cornerback in Greg Shivers, he looks really bad, so he's not going to help us out at all. And then the safety in Trey Lynch is a run support guy with D-man coverage, so he's a free safety, which would leave Minkah Fitzpatrick sitting where he is. But we have all the safeties that we really need for free. So it doesn't look like to me that there is someone in this draft that we have to go after. Bo Ellis could be solid, but we have our top 3. Then Will Reese honestly looks like it might be the best talent in the class, but we don't need offensive lineman help. So that really opens up all of our draft picks. If we want to look at what's available on our roster to possibly trade, we do have some options, and I would even start at corner with someone like Eddie Jackson. Getting rid of him would mean we would need to bring in a new corner, which I'm fine with. Jackson, he's 30 years old. He's only going to get worse from here. And he's not a great fit for corner, but he can do the job. But we've obviously been struggling with pass coverage, and he'd be the first to go. I want Barlow out there. We have Noah, who he has some decent ratings, and he's much younger. Could we also bring in a different corner than have Barlow, Jackson, and whoever that other corner is? Yes, that could be a possibility. As for other options, we have a bunch of defensive tackles, and I think the first one to possibly get moved on from would be someone like A'Shawn Robinson, as it looks like Reed is injured for some reason. I do not see him on this list. I swear if Madden cut him for some reason. And yes, they did. It looks like we had a practice injury or something in one of the quick sim games, and that made us release Jerron Reed, who was one of our better players for the defensive line, and we signed a depth guy who probably is not even someone we're actually allowed to have in this series. So thank you, Madden. No matter how many times I tell you, do not make any changes, you continue to make changes. And of course, with a 78 overall defensive lineman becoming available, the Bills would come in and sweep him up rather quickly. So there's definitely no way we get to bring him back. But what that does mean for us is that we still could make the trade and send away Robinson, and that would just provide Kevin McIntyre, the rookie, hidden dev, the opportunity to get out on the field. So that's something that we very likely could do. Any other options we have, maybe over on the offensive line with someone like Bradley Bozeman. Don't necessarily want to get rid of offensive lineman depth, but he's someone we could consider trading. Now, obviously, when it comes to guys that we would want to bring in at corner, there's going to be people like Patrick Surtain. Obviously, great corner, but what we would have to give up to bring in a 98, now who's actually a 99 overall corner, would just be insane and something I do not expect us to do. And you could even put that in the same group with someone like Marlon Humphrey, who's a 95. And obviously, Trayvon Diggs is getting put into that same group at a 92. Well, what about someone like Roger McCreary? An 83 overall, he's 24 years old, he has the day one starter tag, and the ratings actually look pretty decent. Good press, good zone, good man, and the fact that he doesn't have a star, superstar, any kind of dev traits might help us out a little bit more. So the Commanders, again, they don't have a whole lot of interest, but they do actually need a DT. It's fifth on their team needs. So if we just slap in Robinson here, does that give us? It does. It does give us a lot more of opportunity to try to make a trade. Pair that maybe with the 3rd round pick. Where does that leave us? So they probably would want more, and they definitely do. Well, I am curious what they would think if we give them our 1st rounder, which is currently slated to be a mid-round pick. We get McCreary, plus they give us a third. How does that end up leveling out? We probably could have maybe even got a second there, but I feel like that's probably pretty good of a trade. Pretty even, more realistic. Now, of course, with that trade, it's shaken up the defense a little bit. We're going to get McIntyre out there as a DT2 over that of Robinson. They're fairly close in overall, so we're going to give it to the hidden dev, see what he can do. McCreary is going to be our top corner, cornerback 1. Barlow will remain cornerback 2. We're actually going to switch Eddie Jackson to be our slot corner. See how well that ends up panning out for us. It also changes up a little bit of our rush defensive line as well, as we're going to get Montravius Adams out at left end. Allen's going to go down to rush DT as well as Tomlinson, and then Hand will stay over at the right side. Hopefully that gets this defense at least a little bit more improved and gets them on a upward trajectory rather than being the 31st ranked defense in the league. And to start it off here, we are going to jump into another quarter sim here in week 8 as it's against the 5-1, a high-powered offense in the Detroit Lions. It's 87. Right now, their offense surprisingly isn't ranked very well. Their defense is, so maybe their defense is just outperforming the overall and their offense is underperforming their overall. Either way, this could be a big win. We get this one plus the Panthers in week 9, and we are right back in the playoff race. And this is another away game for us, though we start off quick here. We pick up the touchdown 7-0. As we do get a good stop, then we give up a field goal. First quarter ends 7-3. Get through the second quarter as we start with the lead, though then immediately lose it. Offense not moving very much here. And we don't get any points before half, so we hit the third quarter still with a field goal game. Lions up 10-7, but the defense doing better as we then immediately give up some points, get some points as we hit the fourth quarter. Well, let's slow it down. Still a field goal game as the Lions start off with possession. Good run for Dillon to start him off. First down, no. Third and inches. Come on, D-line. Nope, no D-line. We give up the first down to Dillon. Then knocked away by Collins. 2nd and 10. They get 9. 3rd and 1. Another chance for the line, but the line gives up a 15-yard penalty. I'm assuming face mask on a tackle. Dillon then picks up 5 more. 8 more. They're down inside the 25. Down inside the 15. 1st and 10. They pick up 2. 2nd and 8. 5. 3rd and 4. Touchdown to their tight end in Joel Griffith. Well, we need to see a quick answer as we block the field goal. Leaves this one still, though, a 2-score game. But at least overall, the defense seems to be slightly improved here. Only 23 points. Now we just need our offense to get some quick scores themselves. As Young starts off with a dump off out to Hill. Just a short gain, though a free timeout as Zach Seiler injured. He'll end up having to leave the field, leaving us with a 2nd and 6. We got 3 up top, Everett at the bottom of the line. Young with a pocket. Going up and picked off. He underthrew. I believe that was Smith. Either way, they're returning this one down to the 25. And we just continue to see as a penalty comes in there from us as well. But we just continue to see Young struggle with turnovers. We want him to take some shots, but at least deliver a good ball while you're at it. And they get another touchdown on the board as we hit the 2-minute warning. We do get a quick touchdown there. It's still a 9-point game as they pick up 8 play 1, and that will seal it. The first down from Stevenson, and it's a loss when we really could have used a win. But apparently, that was the loss this team needed as we rattled off 3 straight wins to carry us to the Week 12 bye. And that included 2 wins against division rivals, ones that I think we already lost to earlier on this season, so we avoid the sweep. Defense gave up at most 21 points in that stretch, 17 against the Panthers, 21 against the Giants, and then a 42-7 win over the Falcons. And I want to say that's where we opened up this season. No, it was the Buccaneers we lost to earlier on. So we still have another game against the Falcons. They're week 16, and then we finish against the Buccaneers, the team that we lost to earlier on. Either way, we did pull one back from the Panthers, and in this stretch, we did a whole lot more than just pull one back. As we have reached that Week 12 bye, both the Panthers and ourselves are 6-5. Buccaneers and Falcons, they've only won 2 games this year, so it's really, again, a race between 2 teams. And they've gone on a 3-game losing streak. Meanwhile, we've pulled off the 3-game winning streak. We'll have the bye, but we've got to come off the bye, keeping this form. Otherwise, we miss out on a chance to play ourselves into the playoffs. And we would just keep that momentum going. After giving up 15 in the 4th quarter, we walk away with a field goal victory. 28-25 over the Commanders, nearly giving up 400 yards. And we were close to 350 ourselves. Though after this, things hit the fan once again as the defense has struggled the last 2 games in sealing late wins. We lose 28-17 against a really good 49ers team. And then we do drop the 2nd game against the Falcons, 35-21. That leaves us with 3 games left. And right now they're saying we have a divided locker room. A win against the Bengals would go a long way. And with the cost of potentially losing the locker room late on in the season, we've got to find wins. We're obviously going through some quarter sims here as the first quarter ends 7-7. We get a field goal, give up 2 quick touchdowns, and more. That 3rd quarter about as awful as it could have went. Defense, you're not helping yourselves out, although I think there was also just a lot of turnovers from the offense, but 31-10. That was awful, and they tack on even more. We finally get a touchdown back, but it's 38-17. Let's just get to the end of this one as it's 41. We don't score as we drive down the field. We get a garbage time touchdown. But that is not what this locker room needed by any means. The only good news we have of late is that the Panthers are also falling apart. They're on a 7-game losing streak. Meanwhile, we're on a 3-game losing streak, and at 7-8, honestly, we might even see a losing record make the playoffs just because one person from each division has to go. But I would prefer to take a hold of things and correct things before we get to the postseason. We got 2 games left. Get a win in week 17 puts us at 500. Win in week 18, and we should be good for the playoffs. And the team would hear us. One of our best performances in a while. We pick up the 24-3 win. Defense didn't even give up 200 yards. Meanwhile, the offense were a little bit over 350 themselves. That was a win this team needed, but it does not set anything in stone for week 18. We currently are 500, 8-8, but the Panthers are 7-9. If they win, which they also won last week, finally breaking their 7-game drought, if they win, we lose. They could jump ahead of us, steal the division, and steal the wild card spot. So in week 18 against the Buccaneers, we have to get a win. We cannot get trapped game because if we do, Panthers win, we could be out. So this game is for the season. We could not have asked for a better opponent to face here in the final week. The Buccaneers have struggled this year, but we've had our fair share of struggles as well, as they will pick up a first down gain of 15 play 1. Now on top of that, we are also one of the late games today, so we should get an update on the Panthers game throughout this one. And of course, if we see that they lost, that makes today a whole lot easier for us. But either way, we would love a win heading into the playoffs, as that was not a first down run from Saquon, but they give it to him. Gave him a whole extra yard on that one. Some away cooking from the Buccaneers. What can you expect for Pirates, though? As a rolling throw, they do find their target. He will pick up a decent gain there, a gain of 7 for Adkins. Leaves him with 2nd and 3. As they got two options down the bottom, one up top. Deep drop. We send the blitz. It's late as they find Saquon out of the backfield down to the 24. So far, a really good start for the Buccaneers. Not such a good start for our defense, and clearly our defense struggled this year. We'll check stats at the end. Quick stop, gain of 4. Can't really say that's necessarily quick, but is a lot less yards than what they've seen on some of their plays. 2nd and 6, they got two tight receivers. Handed off down the middle, Saquon breaks two couple arm tackles out to the outside, and another first down to the 12. We're supposed to have one of, at least not the better of the run stopping, but we should have some pretty good run stoppers. Not seeing it quite yet as they go back down the middle, Saquon, another 4 yards. Now we've also seen a lot of game updates down at the bottom, have yet to see the Panthers. I'll definitely say something if it does pop up. 2nd and 6, they go with a stretch to the outside, a good tackle coming down, however, a flag. And it will end up backing him up, holding on the tight end, make it 2nd and 16. As they stick with a tight look here, will be a throw. Clean pocket, though Tomlinson does get back there eventually, and that forces the pass just to be a little bit awry. But if the defense can bend but not break here, that would be fantastic. First down is down at the 2. As they have another pocket here, rolling down to the bottom, escaping, though throwing away. He definitely could have stepped up, took some yards, but Atkins, he takes the safer option. And with that, they will send out the field goal unit. We'll take a lead here as long as they make it from the 25 right down the middle. And now we get to see what our offense has in store for us, and it's actually been a pretty clean season. For Young, it's only been in watch games that we've seen struggles as he nearly throws a pick there. Only 9 this year, which again, I know is going to be difficult to wrap your head around considering every time we've jumped into a game, we've seen 1 if not 2 picks. He's also at 34 touchdowns, I believe. So if he throws 6 touchdowns today, doesn't throw any picks, as that one didn't get anywhere close to his target. But again, if he does hit those marks, then it would be a really good season for him. 40 touchdowns, less than 10 interceptions. We'll all see what happens. 3rd and 10, we could use a first down here, though, as pass rush freezes again and we throw it away. We had Gibbs wide open. Guess we're going to have to punt. And we'll jump into this next drive as I need to point out the bottom of the screen. The Raiders did us a favor, a 28-24 win over the Panthers, solidifying us as divisional champions. We are in the playoffs, but we still need to see this team put together a good game today. Get us ready for the playoffs. Coming off of what was a bad streak, we finally got that win. We could definitely use some more, and if we could see some better coverage as well. Right now, Atkins is finding pretty much every throw he's attempted. As they're down inside the 27 already, they started close to midfield. It was a good punt return. Now looking to scramble, finds a little bit of some space, and there is the rookie in McIntyre with the tackle, keeping it to a gain of 2. He is pretty much solely a run stopper, and you'll only see him out there in the base packages as we have here with a heavy tight end set. They go with the RPO, swing it out. A good juke will spring him for the first down. Brandon Ayuk with the shifty moves. 1st and 10 down at the 14. They got a bunch up top, tight end down to the bottom. Pass rush non-existent, and they do find their target. However, it's through their hands. I believe that one was Agnew. And for us, it's probably one of the best plays we've made in coverage so far in this one. Another heavy look, 3 tight ends up top. They will throw out of it. As they find the trailing tight end, we'll pick up about 5, maybe 6. Once again, if the defense can force a field goal here, that'd be great. First down is about at the 3.5-yard line. Will be a throw. Atkins across the middle, and not a stop at all. In fact, uncovered is Brandon Ayuk, putting them up by 10. And with a little bit of the weight of this game off our shoulders, with us knowing the Panthers score, we will move ahead a little bit quicker as the offense still yet to pick up a first down. You said the defense was bad. Well, the offense definitely isn't showing anything else. 3rd and 3, they do pick up the first down going to Agnew. Then Saquon picking up 2, then picking up 8 in the first down. 2 more going to Atkins. For this Buccaneers team not being very good this year, they've actually done really well as Rodney Harrison Jr. gets the pick. setting us up in plus territory, then knocked away by Cole Holcomb. 2-yard rush from Young, 3rd and 8. There we go. First down finally, John Mechie down to the 29. Let's watch the rest of this drive. Obviously, we saw the stats towards the midway point. We were the #1 offense. Curious to see how much that's changed, as the second half wasn't great either. I also want to see how many times we're handing off the ball compared to throwing. This is a team that has some really good receivers. Young can throw, but we also have really good running backs, and I just don't feel like we're getting them as involved as we should, as that one was well behind Tariq. 1 of 7 is Young on the day throwing. At that point, you feel like you just got to start running the ball a little bit. 3rd and 4, what do we go with? I'm assuming a pass. And in that, yep, what's it gonna be? First down though, Tyreek holds on to it, but he refuses to go down. Luckily, Madden is going to give us forward progress there. Could have easily been maybe a loss of 1 or 2. Instead, the first down, we'll take it for sure. As we go play action, Young, clean pocket, delivers the ball out of bounds. 2nd and 9. Now, since I have Young in both this series as well as the traditional Panthers franchise, I am not sure if it is just this series or if it's in both. As Young, what are you doing besides getting sacked, fumble, and the Buccaneers take over? His play has just been insane while we've been watching. But as I was trying to say, I'm not sure if it was just this series or not. I'll have to check the tape. But he is now a star dev quarterback, not a superstar, definitely not an X factor. But I feel like I remember him having a superstar. I just don't remember if it was in this series, as Jonathan Allen picks up a clutch sack there on 3rd and inches. Do they punt? They do. So finally, the defense doesn't give up really. Well, I guess we had the interception earlier. Either way, good job defense, as the offense still struggling, picking up a first down. We're under a minute. I feel like we should probably jump in and control some clock. Plus, obviously, that comes with running the plays as well. A tight set here. See if we could get Hill with his speed to the outside, as the safety does follow. Instead, try to squeeze this one into Everett. Well, we get it to him. Just doesn't go for a whole lot. Let's run a little bit of some hurry up here, as we got about 40 seconds and ticking. We have 2 timeouts. We'd love to get into field goal range before the end of this half, as that one is too high, though almost caught off the tip by Everett. Would have been great if he held on to that one. Looked more like he was just blocking his face from taking a ball to the face. Need at least a first down here, 3rd and 4. As we got Hill coming across, though did not see the safety corner lurking. 4th and 4, we will punt. So I definitely did not do well in controlling that drive, though it matched the rest of our offensive performance, as that does send us to halftime 10-0. Offense really not showing up so far, but they do start the second half with the ball. As we pick up a first down there with Williams. Haven't seen much from him this year either. At least, I feel like while we've been watching, it's been a different team compared to the Sims, as we have a 4th and 2 here at the 44. And while we have some power offensive linemen, power running back, also a little bit of some legs from our quarterback, really wish we could utilize that here, as we do hand it off. Jacobs will pick up the first down and more, well into plus territory to the opposite 40. And there will be 1 and done unless we get down inside the red zone. Pick up 3 more, 3rd and 5. 19 does send us to the red zone. Now, can we just see our offense get it into the end zone? 10-0. We could use a touchdown here. Young rolling. Has his guy. Tyreek is not holding onto it through the hit. Hill is well over 1,500 total yards on the season, so moving him to slot as well as keeping him on the outside in just a 2 receiver sets, it's worked pretty well this year. I just think it goes to show, very similar to what I was referring to with the just straight up sim versus us jumping in and simming. That seems to be very 2 different teams, because our offense hasn't looked good while we've been out here, because we keep seeing that pick. Hopefully not 6, as Young slows him down. Gibbs comes up to clean it up. But for some reason, whenever we watch, Young just throws picks. So let's just try getting through this one a little bit quicker than if that's the play we're going to see. 3rd and 5, we give up 16 to Bateman. 9 yards to Barkley. So far, we've been shut out today. Defense can't hold on 3rd. First and 10, they pick up 5 down to the 15. Down to the 4 with the 11-yard rush. First and goal, touchdown for the backup running back. They take a 17-0 lead. Offense, can we see it get down the field here? Do something. Third and 10, knocked away. Once again, absolutely nothing as we hit the fourth quarter. Good stop there. Third and 7, a sack from Allen. There we go. He's doing something, and a sack. They went for it on fourth, or maybe it was a blocked. I don't know how well Madden does it. Either way, we take over at the 12. Though apparently it was the opposite 12 than what I was thinking. Either way, we start spread out here, and I'm just jumping out with this offense to see if we can get a drive going here. Drive it to the outside. It's through the hands of Mechie. We might just have to change our playbook for next episode in the wild card just to see if maybe that will end up helping us out as we have Gibbs right down the middle, hit the back juke. No, but it's a big gain to the opposite 45, and let's just try to work off of that. Utilize his speed as he's left uncovered here, depending on what the outside corner does, could make this read pretty easy. He drops, we'll get it underneath. Tyreek Hill tried to bounce it to the outside and is shaken up. We were already really thin at receiver, and it does not look good for him. Limping off the field. Fingers crossed it's not a big injury. But we're going to keep airing it out here because why not? Sims across the middle was breaking open. We luckily still gained some yards on that play, but could have been a whole lot more. As Sims is coming in to fill out that spot where Tyreek would have been. As they cover everything downfield. A tight grab there, but Williams holds on to it. We're under 6 minutes left in this one. Let's just keep it rolling here. As they vacate the middle because all we do is pass. Let's hand this one off. Gibbs down the middle. Tries to bounce. Does bounce. Try to get all the way to the outside. No, but it will get us down to the 20. And if it works, we're not changing it. Keeping with it. Got an RPO dialed up here. And we'll stick with a handoff. Gibbs down the middle. Powers through a couple guys and now is injured as he picks up a gain of 9. That's now 2 of our playmakers who have to limp off the field. Luckily, we have other running backs. Obviously, Josh Jacobs really solid there. Need him to perform well as Young scrambles by the diving defender. And hey, we score in week 18. Finally, make it 17-7. Or can the defense make some big plays? We're definitely here for it if we can. 17-7, make it official as we get the PAT from Carlson. 18 yards Bateman, not really good play from the defense. As we're about now under 4 minutes left in this one, we would need a touchdown and a field goal to send it to overtime, but they are driving late on here in the fourth, down to the 10, down to the 3. As we hit the 2-minute warning, they get the touchdown and the extra point. Make it 24-7. Offense looking for some points here late as we're down to the 16. With first and goal now down to the 3, and we pop it in the end zone, knocked away. Just want a consolation touchdown here for what the watch portions have been pretty bad today. As why not, let's just toss this one up for Sims. There we go. Give it to the tall guy, but that will end it in week 18. It's a loss, but luckily for us, the Panthers also lost. So it's definitely not a positive momentum moving forward, but we at least got the job done, and by we really mean the Raiders. Thank you, Raiders. But with that, for what could be the first time in history, a team with a losing record has made it to the NFL playoffs. We are the 4 seed. We will be facing against the 5 seed Packers. Definitely interesting. We'll see how we go. I'm sure the talk around the media would be the team that does not deserve it and a good list of other teams that probably should have been in other than us. But the rule of every division gets one team, that helped us out this year. Unfortunately, one player that will not be helping us through the remainder of this year is Tyreek Hill. He suffered a hamstring tear. His season is done. So we are now going to be extremely thin at the receiver spot. And we really need to run the ball. Just take away almost all of Young's heroics throwing the ball and just hand the ball off to Gibbs and Jacobs. And hopefully the ground and pound will carry us. But as we wrap up, we'll finish with a quick run over of the stats. We were the 5th ranked offense, 26th defense. So the defense did improve a little bit. Offense did drop a little bit. As for the individual stats, Young finishes the regular season 35 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 68% completion percentage. So really, his worst play came while we watched. He had 4,400 passing yards, but whenever we were watching, he couldn't pass. So not great for the playoffs. Josh Jacobs, he ran the ball 277 times. Meanwhile, we threw it 527. So we're getting close to about a run per every 2 passes. I would like that flipped for the playoffs. He did have 16 rushing touchdowns this year, though, so that's great. Bryce Young had 3 rushing touchdowns, fumbled it twice. Gibbs, same for him. Not great, and he's not getting very many carries either. As for the receiving game, Tyreek Hill, he had a really good year. Unfortunately, we won't see him the remainder of this season. 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns. He did great in the slot. Jameson Williams, not a bad for number 2 numbers. 843 on 72 grabs, 5 touchdowns. It's a first down a grab. Mechie, pretty solid as well for wide receiver 3, though both of them are going to need to step up in the playoffs. Also, we're going to need to see more from Gerald Everett, and perhaps we even need to get Jamar Gibbs out there, maybe as a slot receiver. We'll play with that one for sure. Blocking-wise, how bad was it? Not too bad. Robinson 9, Neal with 8, but down the middle, we did really well, including Jonah Williams, 0 sacks given up all year. Fantastic. Rodney Harrison showed up this year, taking over for CJ Mosley, essentially. 137 tackles, no one else in the 100s. As for tackles for a loss, 14 for Allen, who also had 12 sacks. Great there. What about the rookie? McIntyre, only 2 tackles for a loss. 13 total tackles. Hoped for more from him. As for the sacks outside of Allen, 4.5 from Hand, 3 for Harrison Jr. An off-ball linebacker had more than a lot of our edge guys, or just D-line in general. So we're not getting much of any pass rush, that is for sure. Eddie Jackson moving around this year. He leads us with interceptions, 3. Harrison Jr. also had 2. The rookie and Tyrone Barlow had 2. Fitzpatrick 2. Collins 1. And Henry also had 1. How about the kicking 100% throughout the year for Anders Carlson? And considering I almost didn't sign him, I wanted to go with our previous guy with J.K. Scott. Clearly, we all made a right decision. But that will do it for us in what I'm assuming is probably a pretty long video. I appreciate you sticking around. We are back in the playoffs with an 8-9 record. How a losing team made it? Well, we have to thank whoever came up with a divisional rule for the playoffs. Gonna have to step up our game. Defense got to step up their game. Offense, clean things up, and we'll get back to the 1 game per episode situation next time with, again, 50 likes and a win. Next round the next day. So make sure you stick around, hit that bell icon on the bottom right, or scroll down, hit the sub button, and definitely tick that bell icon so you're notified of when these videos go live. So you can jump in, hit that like button, and hope that the offense and defense provides you that win. But we will see you next time back in the wild card against the Packers.
How it's supposed to feel.